now a man. He adored a ruby flask, but ignored its contents. He had ignored the cries of his own blood to linger over a particularly fine engraving or the feel of an exceptional sail. He had ignored nature, and now nature turned to him and said, "Boy, I am taking you." And he turned to her for his salvation, and he set aboard to make peace with her, bowing to her mysteries, to hear the divinity, to set right destiny. He appointed his appointed hour, his appointed lot, his appointed garden would be overgrown with delicious vines, which he would feast upon. He would feast upon before he spun within a womb of silk. He was going to move into his own cocoon. He was not going to give up. He was going to move into his own cocoon. He was going to defy nature. He would seduce her. He would become one with her. He would move into a cocoon of silk. He was venturing to Papua to secure for his soul a legendary butterfly, which he would tack to his chest as Pan had attached to his shadow, as Pan had attached a shadow. He would get it right. Pan had attached a shadow to his chest, and he had flown away. He had been eternal, the eternal boy, the eternal child, and he would do this. He would go to Papua, and he would find the butterfly, and he would put the great wings upon him, and he would fly away over the sea, fly away into eternity, recreating the sky, taking the clouds and reforming them with his will by his own hand. The play of light upon the marble stairs and upon the trousers of an old man descending. He became increasingly aware of light, just as he was also becoming aware of an impending black square drawing him in, light making him light himself. In his eyes, his green deer eyes, like the eyes of a coquette, like a mistress, a young mistress. It was May 22nd, the death of Victor Hugo, and the black streams, the black crepe was streaming. It was streaming from the ship, and he was like a young girl sliding through the cabin in a white dress, his green eyes closed. Am I not a free man? Can I not improvise the dawn? Must I be imprisoned in time by the whims of marble gods, themselves stroked with light? These reflections shot through the one mind of one accustomed to sensation, unaccustomed to reflection. He was ruled by feelings, sensations. He didn't like to talk. He didn't like to think. He liked to feel. He liked to create. He liked to work. He liked to feel. He didn't like to think. He didn't like to talk. He didn't like to think. He didn't like to talk. He liked to feel. He liked to feel. He looked at his hand, how it trembled, and the heat was unbearable. Yet he really very cold. In his heartlessness, he had ignored nature, and how heartless she was in return, to wreak havoc upon a coal, to wreak havoc upon a soul so cunning as to presume to redesign the manner in which he would eventually be eternally expelled from his trembling frame. I will choose. I will declare my existence. I will declare the end of my existence. I will choose. How warm he felt, and how cold it was. He felt sick. He felt alive. The process was underway. Had begun earlier upon the bridge in full sun. He was extending the perimeters of his garden, and with a gesture conceived, he saw a stag erect, majestic, gazing into the dear eyes of his creator, a youth upon the bridge. He regarded with irony his feverish wand. Vegetation papered his cabin, a tome of moss and fern, and great fish leapt and became trophies in his hand, and the stag advanced and licked his palm. How should I be charged? How should I be charged? How should I be charged? Should I be charged for wanting so much, for wanting so much bounty, for wanting so much beauty, for rearranging eyes, for being one with nothing? I wanted nothing less than to embrace the spine of a mountain when the light played on, and the light played on, the light played on. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It sparkled above his head, the stars, and he plucked them from the sky, made himself a crown, because he was the prince of his own ordeal, the prince of his own ordeal. On deck, the fog breathed everywhere. He felt a dull pain in his side that mounted as a wave mounts, then quickly subsides. He distracted himself by playing a game of assessing the value of his organs, all that would be gone: his heart, his lungs, his veins. For it occurred to him earlier, as the captain made a dangerous pass close to a reef, that he wished to be cremated. He wanted to be cremated. The first bit of ash poured into a matchbox and entrusted to another damned young man, a sailor slipping in without ceremony into the inner pocket of his coat. Pictures. An entire inventory filed, offering salute. An oversized chitan with dancers in silhouette. Blue, black, yellow, coarse hands. A scarred dresser. A cluster of grapes. A fleet of ice. A torso rising. Small hands sifting through black soil. small hands arranging soldiers on a shelf. The fog seemed to glow. Fog was everywhere. Fog was everywhere save where he stood. Played another game of moving swiftly so as to obscure the bright hole where he had been, but it moved with him, and the fluttering within him was ominous and strange, and he was transported to the October of his youth. The brilliant trees burned through the heavy mist, and he climbed them to pluck leaves of gold, cramming fistfuls in his sweater, imagining the wealth that would be his, all of the golden leaves. But in his own room, they had lost the properties contained in that eerie light, and they were no longer gold, just dry, crinkling leaves. And he lay back on his pillow, and he stared at the ceiling, fathoming roses and serpents, surrendering upon a bed of leaves and the good graces of sleep. And the fog was lifting, and the sea was exceptionally green. Bells sounded. Hallie wished to shut them out. Beneath closed eyes, images, roots, crisscrossed. Hallie longed. Hallie longed.